Now it's time for an English speech. I call upon the stage our next speaker, a very polite, well-mannered and well-disciplined girl who is known among her friends for her exclusive creativity, crafts and speaking skills. Please give a warm welcome to Afsheen Parveen of Standard 8A to enlighten us on Islamic concept of sovereignty and human accountability.
नहमदु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. The guest of honor of this occasion, the chairman sir, the manager sir, the principal ma'am, able teachers and my dear brothers and sisters, all the respected guests in this gathering, to you all I greet in the best mode of greeting by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon all of you. My name is Afsheen Parveen, student of class 8A, and I am going to be speaking to you today about Islamic concept of sovereignty and human accountability. I began my talk with one of the famous couplets of Allama Iqbal. सरवरी ज़ेबा फ़क़त उस ज़ाते बेहमता को है, हुक्मरां है एक वही, बाकी बुताने आज़री. You know, sovereignty means supreme power or authority. This supremacy and autonomy belongs to the Almighty only. If it is claimed or acquired by a particular person or a group of persons, turmoil and anarchy will prevail. Nobody is free from biases and flaws. We see and observe that ideological and cultural clashes are very often amongst various religious entities. The only solution to this problem is to accept the sovereignty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is eternal in this world. It was He alone who existed even when there was nobody and nothing in this universe. It is only He who will remain alive when everybody and everything will destroy on the doomsday. As we know very well that Fir'aun proclaimed, mentioned in Surah Naziyat, Surah number 79, Ayah number 24. Ana Rabbukumul A'la. I am your Lord, the Most High. He literally claimed himself to be a sovereign ruler and a lawgiver. Let's think and analyze whether we are on the right track of Tawheed-e-Hakimiyat or indulged in Shirk fil Hakimiyat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Anam, Surah number 6, Ayah number 57, Inil hukmu illa lillah. The command rests with none but Allah. The same message in negation has also been repeated in Surah Kahf, Surah number 18, Ayah number 26. Wala yushriku fi hukmihi ahada. And He shares not His legislation with anyone. Islam favors a nation based on social justice, economic welfare, and religious freedom. I am convinced that Islam is not a barrier, but instead a facilitator of peace, justice, and tolerance in the world. Islam established the principle of rule of law in relation to nepotism and accountability. It is narrated on the authority of Hazrat Aisha radhiyallahu anha. The people of Quraysh worried about the lady from Bani Makhzum who have committed theft. They asked who would intercede for her with Allah's apostle, peace be upon him. Some said no one dared to do so except Usama bin Zaid, the beloved one to Allah's apostle. When Usama spoke about that to Allah's apostle, peace be upon him, Allah's apostle said, "Do you try to intercede for somebody in a case connected with Allah's prescribed punishment?" Then he got up and delivered a sermon saying, "What destroyed the nation preceding you was that if a noble amongst them stole, they will forgive him. And if a poor person amongst them stole, they will inflict Allah's legal punishment on him. By Allah, if Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, my daughter, stole, I will cut off her hand." Sahih Bukhari, Volume 4, Book 56, number 681. Let me explain the right concept of governance as per the Islamic teaching. In Islam, politics cannot be separated from religion. Unlike Christianity, that has created Sunday attitude towards religion, Islam covers the whole life and activities of man from cradle to grave. Islam means being at peace with oneself, the world, and the God. It aims at establishing an equilibrium between the two aspects of life, the spiritual and the material. Let's know the core component of divine government which ensure human accountability in every field. Firstly, Allah's sovereignty instead of human sovereignty. The Islamic concept of submission is more powerful as it subordinates human will to the will and law of God unconditionally. According to Islam, sovereignty belongs to Allah. He alone is the lawgiver, and believers could neither resort to totally independent legislation nor could they modify any law laid down by God. Man, as God's representative, that is, vice regent on earth, is not only the primary agent of the sovereign, but also enjoys a margin of autonomy. This margin of autonomy, by virtue of vice regency, is the Islamic equivalent of popular sovereignty. Secondly, trust or custody instead of man's ownership. This principle means that everything belongs to Allah, as Allah has said in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayah number 284. Lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. To Allah belongs whatever is in the heaven and whatever is in the earth. The owner of all the things is Allah, who has given mankind resources to use on this earth. This means that whatever a person possesses is a trust from Allah. This concept of trust is a revolutionary concept as it changes one's thinking. Instead of saying my property, my money, etc., Islam views that all the things given to the people for the duration of their life is a trust for which they will be accountable to God. This idea discourages the feeling of selfishness and greed of money and wealth. Thirdly, social equality of mankind. The third corollary of Tawheed implies that all human beings have a social equality. There is no person superior or inferior. All these class systems based on color, race, and caste are a result of man-made philosophies due to man's weaknesses. At the social level, principle of Tawheed is mentioned in the Quran, Surah Nisa, Surah number 4, ayah number 1. Ya ayyuhan nasu ittaqu rabbakumul ladzi khalaqakum min nafsin wahida وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. O mankind, fear your Lord who created you from a single being, and out of it created its mate, and out of the two spread many men and women. Fear Allah is whose name you plead for rights and heed the ties of kingship. Surely Allah is ever watchful over you. This signifies that whole human races have a social equality. In Islam, there is no such division as we have made by copying the Hindus and their caste system. Allama Iqbal asks Muslim eloquently, यूं तो सैयद भी हो, मिर्जा भी हो, अफगान भी हो. यूं तो सैयद भी हो, मिर्जा भी हो, अफगान भी हो. तुम सभी कुछ हो, बताओ मुसलमान भी हो. The basis of superiority in the sight of Allah is only righteousness and piety. I would like to quote Prophet Muhammad's address at the farewell pilgrimage, where the Prophet, peace upon him, said, "An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab over an Arab. Neither does a white man possess any superiority over a black man, nor a black man over a white one, except in the point of piety." Islam hasn't confined itself only to the theory. Rather, it talks on practical ground. The welfare state based on absolute sovereignty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already been established by our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, 1450 years ago. This legacy was then cherished and continued on the prophetic methodology during the reign of rightly guided caliphate. While advising his fellow congressmen on leading the life of simplicity in this era of fashion, Mahatma Gandhi wrote in his weekly journal Harijan, issued dated July 27, 1927. I cannot present before you the examples of Shri Ramchandra and Shri Krishna, as they are not personalities recognized by history. I cannot help but present to you the name of Abu Bakr and Umar Radhiyallahu Anhuma. They were the leaders of vast empire, yet they lived a life of austerity. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought about a complete revolution and established a society based on these principles. He did not only teach these principles and laws, but he also practically operated and applied in the society. There were not changes only in one sector, but changes in political, social, economic, judicial, spiritual, and educational sector were taking place. I have enough evidence to prove my point. Any person who knows the history is bound to accept this fact. He cannot deny. For instance, many historians of 20th century accept this fact, including Dr. Michael Hart in his book, The 100. He criticizes the 100 people who have brought about a complete revolution and established a society based on these principles. He says he was the only man in history who was supremely successful in both religious and secular level. As they were in his book, Concise History of the World, he criticizes the different aspects of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, life. There is no doubt that he had much hatred for the Prophet. But when he quotes the last sermon of Holy Prophet, he writes, although the sermon of human freedom, fraternity, and equality were said before, we find a lot of these sermons in Jesus of Nazareth. But it must be admitted that it was Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who for the first time in history established a society based on these principles. In a nutshell, we can confidently say that Islam has established just world order based on true democracy, social justice, equality, equitable distributions of wealth, regard for individuals' rights, eradication of favoritism and nepotism, bribery and hoarding, security and respect of human life and properties, irrespective of class, religion or party, for peace, rights of worship according to faith and brotherhood. The last sermon of Holy Prophet is the Magna Carta for human rights and gist of democracy. Allah's kingdom on earth can easily be established if we Muslims practice, preach and propagate Islam in its full sense. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us hidayah to strive in His path for the establishment of peaceful and corruptionless society. Ameen. मेरी जिंदगी का मकसद तेरे दी की सरफराजी, मैं इसीलिए मुसलमान, मैं इसीलिए नमाजी. जज़ाकुमुल्लाहु खैरा, वस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुह.
Jazakillah khair, Sister Afsheen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Nahl, Surah number 16, ayah number 18. If you try to count Allah's blessings, you could never count them. Do we express gratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for every small and big favor that He has bestowed upon us?